The following is brought to you in part by a grant from the Foundation for White Well-Being. Good evening, everyone. Merry Christmas. Welcome to
Sorry.
I was just going to say, welcome to Gulag Café. Tonight, we are doing a community interaction stream and a celebration of one solid year of Empire of Lies / Gulag Café. So, Chris,
Yes,
does Comrade Chris have things to say?
yes, indeed, Tovarishi. Welcome to a special midwinter holiday UKSSR special of Gulag Cafe. This week we have issues in water with pine needle honey. Excellent treat. Dimitri says, do not fill up, may be bad for tummy. Every single member of Gulag will be issued with extra rat stick ration. The party cares for you, comrade. Please to also be remembering that any display of religious affection or affiliation apart from attachment to glorious party of UKSSR will be most severely punished. We do not allow Christianity in enlightened Soviet states, so we will have none of that. Where Christmas is banned, where joy is banned, where any kind of tree is banned unless you are out in fields harvesting for pine needle tea, which is extremely nice. Please have extremely happy UKSR mid-season holiday, but not too happy. Remember, please reserve all happiness for praising great party of Keir Stalin and UKSSR. Thank you very much.
Very good, very good, very good. So, we thought about doing a dive into Carl Schmitt, but since the year is coming to an end, we've decided that since we definitely can't do a Gulag Cafe or Empire of Lies next week, we decided just to wrap up our Thursday evening stream series for the year tonight. So tonight, Merry Christmas, one and all. For the first half of the hour, Chris and I are going to talk about what we have gone through making this series, why we are happy that we did it, and just talk about some highlights of the year of Empire of Lies. And then the second half, we want to talk to you guys. But we'll get to that around the half an hour mark. So, Chris, let's go to In Small and View and pull up the list here.
Yes, and I would just like to say, I do still have all the stuff for the Schmidt stream, but my brain just wouldn't take it. Every so often, my brain kind of like hits a brick wall, and I try and cajole it and be like, look, come on, brain, do a thing, and my brain would just be like, nah, 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 nah. So I apologize. I do have all the notes for the Schmidt and Agamben stream, but I think my brain is basically saying that it needs a bit of time off. And of course, we want to, celebrate years. I can't believe it's been a whole year.
It's been 1 year. We actually started
great.
a little more than a year ago. Our first pilot episode, our experiment episode, was towards the middle or end of November last year.
Yep.
And in the last 1 year, you can see on the playlist here, 46 episodes, 9 episodes of Gulag Cafe, counting this one. So this will be 47. 47 minus 9 is 38. So we have had 38 scripted, pre-written, pre-discussed episodes in a year. That's really high quality content with a high rate of output for the caliber of stream that we have put together the last year. I feel very successful about that. Before I gush anymore, Chris, how has it felt delivering these ideas? Because you guys know most of this, the impetus of this show are the things Chris wants to cover, because he does the bulk of this because he's deep into that unpacking the Empire of Lies stuff. So, Chris, how has it felt? What are your general thoughts on our successes together here tonight?
It's felt great, actually. Not only because I've had a lot of this stuff sort of rattling around in my head since I left uni, and university, of course, is very unsatisfying because essentially it was all the leftist takes on everything. Surprise, surprise. Everyone's like, have you considered basing everything on this surface level understanding of Marxism? And you'd be like, well, maybe I don't want to do that. And I'd be like, well, maybe you should. Otherwise, we're not going to be very happy with you. So I had a lot of these sort of ideas rattling around after university that I wanted to give like a sort of a better treatment to, and honestly, the audience reception has been great. I wasn't sure that there would be enough autists out there that would be interested in my highly weird and detailed takes on Jacques Ellul, and but it turns out there are. I guess if I had to, I was thinking about back over the 40 some episodes, and I was like, what would be my greatest hits, right? Like if I had to make a compilation album, right? Empire of Lies, you only get 5 slots. It would definitely be the one on immigration. The
That was a good one.
That was like awesome. I really like the Gnosticism, the Judaism and Marxism one.
The Kabbalah being
the
a
Kabbalah.
structure for the one world government crap that's being pushed by the EU. Also, I really liked Fascism, the anti-white effigy, talking about how it once was, Hitler and the Nazis, and then it was, oh, you got to be scared of authoritarianism, and now it's just hate white people because that's where everything bad comes from. Like it's been escalating to that for the last 80 years. So
can you throw that comment by stumbling on YouTube up? Now that's what I call Empire of Lies number 24. Yes, actually, it's gonna be a Christmas album. You can scare and confuse your children. And
that's a good one, stumbling. That's a good one. Oh, I meant to say at the beginning, we'll be doing paid chats, super chats, all that stuff, starting at the half-hour mark as soon as they come in. We already had one come in. So if you guys want to do some celebratory into the first year of Empire of Lies paid chats to celebrate, we would both deeply appreciate that. And of course, I split all the proceeds of this stream series 50-50 with Chris here. So any gift that you come in, that comes in, split between the two of us. So it's a Christmas gift to both of us. So the episode that sticks in my mind is I learned about the idolaters of the act from Ernst van Zyl, my South African friend who runs the channel Conscious Caracal. And I was introduced to Wim van Wicklo, the Afrikaans philosopher that came up with the idea of the idolater of the act. And we covered that. That's one of the episodes that I liked the most. I got to say a lot on that one. And even though my contributions to this stream series have been shorter in volume, I do my best to think of how I can speak inspirationally and passionately about the subject matter to inspire listeners to not be black-pilled, but to take all of this dark black-pilling stuff and just let it temper you. Like you have to heat up iron and beat the impurities out of it and then damage it by making it cold again. Like we have to take all of this negativity, but not let it break us. Let it forge us into something harder and sharper. So that's the energy that I attempt to bring to this really dark, ugly subject matter. So that's sort of where my creative impetus in all of this lies. And of course, keeping things fun, doing the networking, using my slightly larger channel than Chris's just to get more eyeballs and ears on the content. And in doing so, I feel successful. Chris has taught me about how to use social media better for getting Empire of Lies in front of others, and I've been doing some of that on my own. Chris has done it a lot more, of course, but I suppose as a stream series, I feel very successful in this venture with Chris. And I don't mind losing the money, splitting it 50-50 with him, because he does the lion's share of the preparatory work, writing out the presentations. That's actually easy on me. I don't have to do a lot of reading and prep work, which is great because I'm not good at that stuff. And Chris, of course, with his big autistic brain for the socialism, is good at digging into this stuff. So, Chris, is there anything that you would like to celebrate personally, or a particular thing that you've discovered that you might want to talk about from doing this show with me the last year?
I did want to finish my top 5.
Oh,
Um,
certainly. Yeah, go ahead.
and I got to say, the Six Dimensional Warfare one was pretty good because,
Mm.
like, I that was all me. I wrote pretty much all
Mhm.
of that. Like,
Mhm.
I created like a new concept. It's every academic's dream, bros, right? And like, after that episode went out, I was swamped by women, fangirls, right? Like people were just coming up and just throwing cash at me, speaking engagements all around the world. Mossad was at my door asking me to go around and influence the minds of the kids. Oh, it was all happening, bros. You wouldn't believe it. The fame was unbelievable. No, but I did really, really like that one. What else did we do that was really good? Christianity and communism. I like the cargo cult one. Remember that? Or just
Oh, of
talking
course
about
I do. That's one of my that's
the
one of the ones that sticks in my mind too, because I got to talk about now I am not going to use the cursed cancerous term woke right because we have covered how anti-white and retarded that term is. But I have for years now, people like the Fuentes Groypers, these neo-Nazi schmucks that say they care about the white race, but all they do is hate Jews and talk about Jewish subversion and literally everything. This is very adjacent to the nothing ever happens doomers that are like, oh, anything good is bad because it's just containment or it's just, controlled opposition or this is what the deep state wants. Those people are the shrieking, reeing, blue-haired shit libs. Those people are our version of the spiteful mutant armada. And I was very happy to talk about cargo cults on the white right, so to speak. And that was a very successful episode, in my opinion. I was very proud of what I came up with for that episode.
and the other one I really liked was the parasitic degeneracy one. Do parasites affect human behavior? I
Yes.
posted that to quite a few people on Twitter
Yeah.
and got really. I don't think many people had actually heard of the idea that parasitology could influence behavior. Which I was really sort of amazed when I discovered this as well. I was like, damn,
Mhm. Yeah.
then
It
we
it is
did.
interesting, and it does make you think that, not just the parasites, but think about all the chemicals and all the food and drinks that we're given. Think about the chemicals in our water. Think about the chemicals in everything, in every bathing product, in every soap, everything that you get. These things could quite literally be changing us and making us different than we're supposed to be. So it's worth considering.
And then we did anarcho-tyranny, two-tier policing. That one's also quite popular.
Stumbling
And
has
then
another
and
good
then
one.
and then you can see, right, where my brain basically started to give out, right? Around after after episode 33, I wrote the script on Lenin and race communism, and my
And
brain just wouldn't take it. So it took me a few weeks I had to go away and give my brain a little bit of a rest. Then we did the
But
race.
for a few months, we had been floating the idea of Gulag Cafe as filler episodes because we knew that we couldn't just do this, every week for eternity. We knew that it might just be a temporary thing, but we ended up really loving working together. So we've decided to make this an ongoing stream slot in perpetuity. So you can
Yeah.
expect us together on Thursday night, at least through 2020, the end of 2025, probably beyond that too, assuming nothing falls apart and neither Chris or I die or something. We
Yes.
plan on doing this together in perpetuity. So
Yes.
Empire of Lies and our Thursday night filler stream, Gulag Cafe, you can expect to have as your usual Thursday 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern time slot stream. We are going to keep doing this together.
Yeah, that is the plan. If my brain can take it. Uh, you know. And then wait, what else did we do? Why everything must lead to Hitler. That was pretty
Oh, that was a good
good.
one. I remember that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then we did
Talking
the
about how for the narrative to work, there has to be an externalized Satan and an externalized and an internalized eternal good, which is a surrogate for God and divinity.
yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's mate, I should go back and rewatch some of these. Maybe,
I listen
it's
to
hard.
some of them sometimes just to have something on in the background, and they're really good to listen to. It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And then of course we did the woke right thing on James Lindsay,
Ugh.
since that was like
What
that
a
was the
travesty he turned out to be, huh?
big. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Right? Like James. I'm much disappointed. But I guess everyone everyone must get their paycheck from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's It's
I
annoying.
mean, it is interesting seeing all of these academics that realize something's wrong. They get a following, and then all of a sudden they become kind of like neocons. It's very interesting how that happens, isn't it? It's like,
Yes,
oh, hey,
well,
look, here's a problem. Oh, look, I'm noticing all this anti-white shit, all this anti-male shit. And now I use my big platform to tell you to do as you're told and to love Israel.
well,
Who
it's
else
not.
says that?
No. Lindsay would never be so crude as to put it that way, because he knows that he would attract a bunch of flack from it. So instead, it's sort of put as this kind of amorphous thing, and you couldn't just come out and say the work writer Christians who are not too keen on Israel, right? That would be far too crude. Instead, it's like, oh, the people who think they're being oppressed. You mean the people that have actual laws like written against them that you can literally read in black and white I'm just saying, right? You don't need any kind of like weird Gnostic heresy to explain the fact that it's literally written down in the law. You know what I mean? But of course, to care about that is woke bros, right? To care about the fact that there are laws privileging certain groups over other groups, that's very, very woke. You know what I mean? Unlike the the woke lefties who have to find an explanation in systemic this and a mystery that and the Gnostic this, you can just point to the law and be like, look, that law is highly unjust.
The long and the short of it for the layman is the woke right retardation is these idiot smelling their own farts centrist soy boy cucks. They're like, oh, hey, look, these lefties and these righties that talk about this stuff, they're just the same. And it's like, yeah, one has to make these make-believe systems of oppression, and the other ones are just like, hey, this is anti-white because there are laws specifically that hurt white people that are enshrined by law and in corporate policy that we can point to. This is a reality, and we think that this is unfair. So we're just the same as the shrieking Antifa people that throw bricks through windows. Yeah, James. Yeah, James, just the same.
Unfair is woke. Yes, right? Okay, right? Like you're not allowed to say that anything is unfair. You're just like a leftist. You are, right? Don't you know that wanting to preserve your people is a leftist thing? You just woke. You just woke. I can't believe I'm hearing this. You should be a good conservative, central liberal, liberalism, and just want.
I have to be careful what I say, Young, because these streams stay up on YouTube, so I have to be a little careful about what I say. But when I let loose, I'm pretty scathing sometimes with my insults.
we got some great comments actually about this stumbling. Wait, who was it? So Young at Heart was like, Lindsay has just put out a video saying how the Mark Carlson hoax broke the conservative. Oh, certainly, man. I was broken. I was shattered for days. I couldn't.
Well, I'm not a conservative. I don't identify as a conservative or a liberal. I'm done with all that. Like that's all just distractionist bullshit.
I don't know about you, Liz, but the critique was so incisive. My mind was just blown. I still haven't recovered. To be perfectly frank, bros, I'm just, how can I possibly respond to a mind so huge? And then, of course, this Big O's comment, Lindsay saying that Academic Agent was the mastermind behind the Lotus Eaters. Made me
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, mate.
I mean, obviously, Carl and Dr. Nemo Paparazzi, they obviously know each other because they go to events and stuff.
Yeah.
But to say that AA, this antisocial little autist who doesn't want to be a movement leader, who only likes to, again, smell his own farts with his academic brilliance, to think that he's some kind of like movement leader that changes the minds of everyone in an entire political sphere. It's just like these people, I swear. Don't get me wrong. I like AA, and he is very smart, and he's keen on many things. But he's not some kind of Machiavellian genius.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, he does have a touch of the Machiavelli about him, but he's not social enough to start like a movement, right? He's not like he's not enough of a people person to get a whole sort of like movement started. He's very curmudgeonly like that, right? Like, someone will be like, hey, we're going to start a movement. And he'd be like, look, just leave me alone. I'm just going to like smoke my cigar.
He'd be like, leave me alone. Go get arrested in public if you want. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah,
that's just how he is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like he hates protests. He hates movements. He hates politics. He just likes to talk about weird, like esoteric, dead racist authors, and then point out the this is why the system is corrupt and they lie to you type of stuff. So like he's not like a movement leader. But anyway,
and then we got the best take of all, of course, recently, which
mhm.
was that if anyone has ever read anything by a leftist and
Oh,
thought
that
that they had a point, you woke. Are you woke? Yes, are you woke?
that's
Right?
that was
The irony, of course, being that how I was first introduced to Dr. Lindsay, if that is indeed your name, was him literally reading the entirety of, I think it was One Dimensional Man by Herbert Marcuse, and then reading like another thing by Adorno and stuff like that. That's literally all Lindsay used to do, was read
yep.
these very long leftist books. He was the one who introduced me to Hegel. Good times. I wish he'd go back to doing that instead of, basically.
That's the sad thing about people like Lindsay and Dr. Jordan Peterson and people like those. They are left-leaning academics that, or I should say liberal. They were liberal-leaning, like classic liberal-leaning academic people who I think were gotten to by anti-white agents of the enemy and perverted or subverted or simply paid off to not blossom into something genuinely culturally helpful. So it's sad to see what happened, especially with Dr. Peterson, because like I really wanted him to become something better and to really contribute, but he just ended up now.
I
Like
feel it's like a kind of derangement, actually.
it's that too. It's
Yeah,
that too.
you start picking up the threads, and you sort of look where they all start leading, and but you've already sort of presupposed that they can't lead to the place that they actually lead to, and
Oh
this
yeah,
creates
yeah.
a massive cognitive dissonance.
Jason brings up something good. There was some controversy a week or two ago about how certain people on the so-called right, like conservatives, were saying gay and retard again. And AA made a video talking about how this shows positive cultural shifting. And I think that's just farcical, and so did Jason. And Jason did a funny bust on him over it. Like I understand the point that AA was making in the presentation, but like, come on now, like
I
that's
mean,
just
it does suggest that we have seen the high point of the Cultural Revolution to a certain extent. I
I
hope,
just
I
think that it
pray,
means
you know.
I just think it means that the anti-whites are just changing tack. Like we've seen this before. Like
Yes, yes.
people that aren't as aware as we are, they talk about the pendulum swinging left and right. The reason they talk about that is like the whole bet between Aron and AA talking about the woke being put away. Nothing has to change. They can put Trump in office to get white guys to die for Israel. They can put Trump in office and bring the MAGA people to the forefront and say, hey, look, we can all say retard again. Yay. And the white erasure via mass migration continues. The anti-white corporate policies continue. The denigration and the hypersexualization and hyper-individualization continues under them. Like, this is not a win or a victory. And Jason was very keen to point that out, just like we pointed out on this channel. So that's why he
Well,
busted on AA for
look,
that.
okay. I mean, you may indeed be right. It could be
Oh,
that sort
wait,
of.
somebody has to leave. Just real quick. Sorry. Merry Christmas, Paul. Thank you for showing up. We'll see you next time.
Um,
All right, we'll go on.
it might be that political tactic of giving ground on the small things, so that the
Mhm.
large things remain the same, right? So they'll be like, oh, it's okay. You can say gay and retard now. We're not going to fill every single piece of art with trannies and Innsmouth jaw women, but you're still gonna die for Israel, right? And we're still gonna wreck
Mhm.
your First Amendment and all this kind of like other stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Also, we do have a super chat on Rumble
I know, but we haven't
from
gotten to that yet. Like
Holy
we're
Midnight.
doing the first half is us talking, and then
Oh,
the
is it?
second
Oh,
half
right.
will
Okay.
be.
Right.
That's what I
Sorry.
said earlier. Yeah,
Didn't mean to
that's
interrupt
okay.
your
No,
flow.
we've got several actually, so this
I
is
mean,
good.
I don't know. It's interesting to. It's interesting to see where this is going to go, right? The only real way that any sort of headway can be made the UK is just completely lost, right? As far as I can tell, at least until, the next election. And will we even have a country then, right? But
Yeah.
you've got who was it, Jonathan? You got to clear them out. You have to clear them out, right? You have to
Mhm.
have a situation where you can't have these commissars just basically infesting the HR departments of every single organization where, you know, the administrative department has just grown to the point where it's larger than the people actually doing stuff. You've got to get rid of this. Now, Musk and Ramaswamy, through Doge, do seem to realize this dynamic and do seem to be doing this. So it's going to be interesting to see how far they can get. My suspicion is that they're going to require more force than they think they're going to need.
It's right? Going to embiggen you.
I think all the classical liberal bros are like, oh, it's fine. You know, we'll just fire these people. But that's I don't think that's necessarily true. I think they might find that these people have a truly psychopathic desire to retain their grip on power, and they may do all kinds of really crazy stuff.
It'll be interesting to see. And I don't pretend that I have prophetic powers. Like I can't tell you what's going to come 5, 10, 20 years from now, other than if things don't change dramatically, white people are going to have a very rough next few decades. So it's going to be rough, but hopefully, I hope and I pray that through all of this cultural pressure that we have, through the connection of the internet, through culture war, we can use brilliant things like Jason's Go Free method, like what the Old Glory Club's doing, to get people that actually care and are aware of all this shit into positions of power, using the right power words, saying the right things, getting our hands on the levers of power to try to steer this ship back towards a direction that doesn't end in our destruction. So that's what I hope for. But, you know, I can't predict the future. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what technological marvels are around the corner.
You know who can predict the future years? Dr. Peter Hotez. Amazingly.
Peter Hotez. I don't know that name.
So Hotez is like Fauci's, one of Fauci's right-hand gremlins. The little bespectacled burger-eating chum who was close to Fauci in the NIH. He's made a remarkable prediction. That there will be a bunch of new diseases next year. When he can't say around January 21st is literally what he said.
That's close. That's close to riot season. Riot season starts when it gets warm enough. Amazing. When it gets warm enough for the concrete jungle denizens to come out.
Amazingly specific prediction. I've got to say, like, you know, really, I just really hope that there are people in the incoming US administration who are taking note of this and being like, dude, this guy has got to be arrested, right? Like, if you were going around saying like, oh yeah, there's going to be like a, you know, this like event, right? And you know, it's gonna, I can't tell, but it's going to happen exactly on this day at this hour and in this place. But you know, who can say? Some people might sort of claim nefarious foreknowledge. Oh, they're conspiracy theorists, obviously.
Yeah. Things that Pepperidge Farm remembers, Big O's. Pepperidge Farm remembers when monkeypox was a big scare and it was all over the news for like a week. And then it came out that it was primarily being spread via homosexual butt sex. And then there were reported cases of children and dogs getting it. And then the media never spoke about it again, and they brushed it under the rug, and no one ever spoke about it again ever in the media.
That's not true. They did speak about it a bit in Africa, but only in those other places. You know, they didn't sort of lean into it too much about what was causing it in Western countries. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, we could be potentially.
Hey, MCB, I know it's late for you, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. Merry Christmas, MCB.
See you, mate. Take care. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen in the next year. I'm very.
I like this comment. Look at this one.
Yeah, the diversity jihadis.
Yeah,
mate. I'm you know, the jihadis. They're diverse and inclusive now, mate. Wow. That's amazing. Well, bro.
We have come to the half-hour mark of the stream, Chris. You and I love doing Empire of Lies together. We've had a great success this last year. Before we move on to the chat and the people here, thank you to the White Wellbeing Foundation. They gave us a $1,000 grant early in the year because they meaning the white wellbeing community and the few men that lead the foundation thought we were doing great work. And so they wanted to give us a grant to encourage us to keep making the material that we did. And I feel like we have done well with that grant. We have 38 actual episodes, and this is the 9th Gulag Café. I think we have cranked out a lot of really solid material. So I hope those of you at the White Wellbeing Foundation, especially the treasurer who sent us the check, I hope you are pleased with your investment in us. And
Yeah.
we will be glad to take another grant for next year, should you want to share your inspirational dollars with us. Of course,
Yes.
we continue
Big ups. Big ups to the White Wellbeing Foundation. Thank you very much, guys. It was lovely to have someone back us like that. Quite frankly, like really,
Yeah.
I was really like, wow, that's amazing. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you're glad with what we have done.
I hope so too.
You know,
So we've reached the half-hour mark, which means now for the next half of the stream, we will be reading paid chats as they come in, and there's several in already that we're going to read now. I will be checking the chat, so will Chris, for any direct questions you guys have about us, our work together, and the Empire of Lies series. We will answer those questions. Also, I want to remind everyone, some of you already email me occasionally, but everyone everyone who likes Empire of Lies, if you have a particular element of the Empire of Lies, meaning all of the propaganda, the fake news, the deep state, this anti-white narrative stuff, if there are elements, writers, books, particular events in the last 80 years of history or even 100 years of history that you want us to cover on Empire of Lies, send Chris or I a PM, an email about that, and we will add it to the list of things to consider. It's not a guarantee that we will cover it if you send us stuff, but I guarantee you we will at least review the material and decide if it's an appropriate topic for an Empire of Lies episode. So let's go ahead and start with the paid chats that we already have in. We'll go ahead and get those out of the way now. And as a reminder to everyone, you can send in donations on Entropy. That is the pinned comment wherever you are listening to this live. And if you're listening on replay, it's the top option in the financial support. You can also send in short messages on PayPal and Cash App. You can send in tips on Subscribestar, or you can support me monthly on Subscribestar, which I would deeply appreciate. There are many different tiers of support, even a $1 a month tier if you just want your name to appear on that awesome intro by Lomax Designs. And of course, you can send rants on Rumble and hyper chats on Odyssey. I, of course, would prefer you not to send rants on Rumble. They take a quarter of the money on Rumble. The other places only take like 5 to 10%, but Rumble takes a quarter of the money. So if you want to financially support and you can only do Rumble, I would still appreciate it. But if you can use something else, that would be better. So let's go ahead now and start with the first thing that came in, which is a gift over on Odyssey. It was an Odyssey tip before we even started the stream from longtime supporter and viewer Tasia. Tasia donated $60 to say,
damn.
it's that time again. Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas to you, Tasia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, mate. Tasia also supports Happening TV as well. Thanks so much, mate. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is we'll get to that in a minute, Vic. For now, we're going to go to Cash App and see what we has, because I got a ping earlier on it. Oh, I have 2 on Cash App now. Very good. We have Jason Kuna, the No White Guilt guy. Why are you not showing up? I saw the push notification. There it goes. For $6, thank you so much, Jason. He says, Merry Christmas, folk tithe and kip. Well, thank you, Jason.
Please subsume into capitalism.
We also have from Shelly in the chat. Thank you, Shelly. She sends in $40 on Cash App.
Oh, wow.
Nice donation. She says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And she sends a bunch of fun Christmas emojis and a white heart. Thank you very much, sister. And thank you for being a friend and a supporter all these years. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shelly. That's great. I appreciate it.
Okay. Now we move to PayPal. And oh, no, that was transaction history. Sorry, that was not a new donation. My bad. And over on Subscribestar, we don't have anything yet. And we have, last but not least, I know I have, I've got 2 on Rumble now. First up on Rumble from Holly Midlife. Holly has been on my channel. She is an ex-feminist who makes a lot of content cautioning women against all of the poison of modernity for women. She has a lot of streams and content over on her channel. Holly, feel free to show yourself in the chat, my dear. For $10 over via a rant on Rumble, she says, cheers to 1 year. My question tonight, how did you guys meet and decide to stream together? Your personalities and speaking styles are so very complementary and have developed into a fantastic show. First of all, thank you very much for the praise.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really awesome. How
Uh,
did we meet? Yes.
how did we meet? Well,
That's when
on
I was in your
Rumble.
stream, wasn't I?
Yes, Rumble. I was broadcasting Discordant Dragons about a year and a half ago. In my Discordant Dragons Rumble chat, this Newsfist guy popped up and he said some clever, funny things. And I noticed he was there like the week later or a week after that. And I was like, hey, man. And I just said howdy to him in the chat and he talked. And he had such clever, interesting things to say. I said, hey, do you want to come on to the show? Because you seem like the caliber of person with the right mix of intelligence, snarkiness, humor, and being aware of what's going on to be a good guest for Discordant Dragons. And he said yes. And so that was a little over a year and a half ago, maybe like a year and 8 months ago. And we became good friends. And over the next several months, he was on Discordant Dragons a lot. We talked and shared articles together. We did the whole getting together and being frog bros and just talking about how screwed up everything is and sharing our discoveries about COVID and all these other lies together. And I learned that he had an intellectual academic background in dissecting and studying things like Marxism and socialism and bloated bureaucracies and things. And he'd been paying attention for years. And I said, hey, I've been wanting to make a new stream series that is not just let's laugh at stuff and talk about the news, but let's do something with substance. And when we started talking together, that is where Empire of Lies came from. And I had the title Empire of Lies and the concept of what it would be already. And he is the one that turned it into what it is now. Mine was just an idea for, hey, this is a good title. This is a catchy name. I know the kinds of things I want to cover and talk about. But the structure and the meat of this stream series has been his creation. Anything you would like to say in response to Holly's question?
No, I think you covered it. I mean, then we met up at the old Glory Club meetup. That was heckin' fun.
That was awesome.
I had such a good time. That was great. And yeah, and in case a little bit of trivia in case anyone's wondering, the intro speech I basically came up with drunk one night while walking home when I was in Malta, and I sort of just grabbed my phone
I remember that
and just made a voice note of it. And then sort of expanded out a bit, including the my serious voice. Look into that dark, unforgiving glass eye, because especially when we started, I just had a lot of stuff I wanted to get off my chest, right? Yeah. We'd been through COVID, we'd been through like all this stuff, and man, I was just like, oh, dude. Fucking the government. Oh, the Fed posting inside was just getting like too much, and I'm like, really?
Vic says your intro is brilliant, by the way.
Oh, thanks, Vic. I really appreciate that, mate. Yeah. So I just really needed to get it out and just sort of explain to people, and I think especially understanding like nudge theory and stuff during COVID, like really sort of drove it home to me that. This new managerial style of like just managing the population by sort of altering the choice environment, altering the incentive environment, whilst at the same time telling everyone, oh, it's your choice. You've never been so free, bros. It's new Britain.
It's like Matt Stone and Trey Parker told us 20 years ago. Your choice is your giant douche and turd sandwich. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I just hate it. Where they're just
you're not allowed to want a nice dinner. You're not allowed to want to go to somewhere nice. You have a giant douche and a turd sandwich. That's the only options you got.
You're so free. You've never been so.
You've never been freer. Never
been more free to be manipulated by a shadowy group of people who govern through
of evil manipulative shitbags that hate you and want to genocide your people. Yeah. Don't you feel free? Don't you feel free?
No, don't you feel free, man? Oh, so free.
Let's move on to the next Rumble rant now. And for $1 thank you, Ardent Party, a longtime friend of the channel and personal friend of mine. Ardent Party says, I have begun to suspect that the threats of annexation of North America, or NA, I assume is North America. I've begun to suspect that the threats of annexation of NA, while couched as humor currently, may actually be a part of the plan, watering down the American spirit with wet sock hosers. What say? I don't think that I don't think it's that for that reason. No, I don't think so. I don't think that the GAE plans to annex Canada just to poison the well with Canadians. As funny as that is, I don't think that's true.
No, look, if I might share, I think this is this is an example of Trump doing the big ask, right? He's just trolling them, right? I really hope and I pray that Trump will go back to the sort of, the 60s and the 70s America, right? Where they used to go around and throw their weight around and fuck over communists, right?
Yeah.
And they'd walk up to a country and they'd be like, hey, comrade, I can't help but notice that, you're treating your people really, really badly and they don't have freedom of speech and all this. And they did used to actually legitimately do this. And then, of course, it became this entirely cynical exercise. But I think Trump could actually revive that and just start being like, well, we don't really want to deal with countries that don't believe in freedom. You call yourself a liberal democracy, but it's terrible the way you treat your people. You say you're part of the West, but I don't recognize it.
But I think you're really just a shithole socialist country.
Yeah, exactly, right? And he could just start throwing his weight around, right? And
well, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I'm not very hopeful, but I pray and hope for the best. So maybe there are good things coming down the pipe, but I have a feeling this victory of ours is going to be a long time coming, and we're going to have to fight hard, and things are going to get worse before they get better. But we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, look, if anyone could do it to the Canadians and the English and the Australians, it would be the CIA and the State Department. If they actually stopped just, screwing over countries in the Middle East and doing coups in Eastern Europe, and decided to actually start putting pressure on Western governments, they could totally do it. They'd be a lot more effective than, people going out and marching and being like, I don't like the government, please give us freedom of speech. I'd be like, have you considered the inside of a jail cell for posting spicy stuff on Twitter? They could actually do it.
They could, but we'll see. Ardent says the reason he brought it up is Canadian politicians are getting bent about it. I did not know that.
Of course they are.
Linda, longtime supporter who helps me shill stuff and share things, says that she loves our content, but can't stay here and wishes us all Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas, Linda. We'll see you next time, honey.
Thanks, Linda. Look, I think the Canadian government is crapping its panties.
I think so too.
Because they know they can't do anything, really, right?
Yeah.
And they don't really have a leg to stand on, right? They're just LARPing as a liberal democracy. All these countries are. They're like, so yeah.
So we have our first proper question of the Q&A tonight. And to remind you guys, please ask us questions. You don't have to give us money. It would be appreciated. But tonight we would like to just hear some questions and to ride out the rest of the hour. We'll start with Jason's here. Do you have any ideas for topics next year that you want to share? Do you want to go first, Chris, or would you like me to go first?
I've got a couple.
Okay.
So obviously there's Schmidt, sovereignty and decisionism. This is currently sort of a live topic due to Lindsay's weird just hatred of what is essentially a fundamental political fact. It is a bit like denying gravity, which is one of the reasons why I find it just so confusing. It's like you're just going around being like, oh, gravity doesn't exist. Yeah, it totally does. And then, Agamben, which is like sort of a few people built on Schmidt later and came to some quite weird and interesting conclusions. So I sort of want to cover those. I've got some other ones I want to cover about like the future of AI and sort of the fact that everything we do, including this show, by the way, and all of your chats are probably going to wind up training a large language model. And, what are the implications for that, right? Like, will we someday get an actual based AI? Will our words sort of go into the weighting
That's
of this stuff, right? It's weird. It's weird.
Jason will be happy to hear that because he knows that I'm going to be putting in the Go Free lexicon as much as I can, which if AI picks that up and starts using words like anti-white narrative, white erasure, I consider that a big win going into the future. So
that's why you're doing it, yes, to train the AI.
For topics that I would like to cover, I want to cover things that specifically have to do with white erasure, the problems we have. I would like to cover what actually happened in the Rhodesia, Zimbabwe situation. I would like to cover Nelson Mandela, how he ties into that, and talk about why we have prominent anti-white, non-white heroes pushed on us. like MLK and Nelson Mandela, and why we are still cursed and plagued with their visages and their subversive words today. Also, I would like, what was the other one I wanted? I talked to you about it just recently, Chris. My mind's drawing a blank. Hold on just a second.
Sorry,
it was in my mind just a second ago. What was the other the one that I wanted to do? It was Rhodesia and Zimbabwe, the anti-white cult icon, the non-white anti-white cult icons, and what was the third one I wanted to do for next year? I talked about it recently.
I can't remember. I've had a lot on my mind.
Yeah, like this is why we put all of our notes in a Telegram chat together, because we think about stuff and it leaves us sometimes.
I think I've got about like 10 like episode notes pre-written. Let me have a look in my file. Rat Fun King was saying, we should do the origins of liberalism. That would be very, very interesting. What's this? The truth has made us insane. That's not bad. The idea.
I remembered it. C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. I wanted to cover, because Chris and I both talk a lot about how we think Christendom is the major reason why the West became so successful. Now, you guys know, am technically an agnostic atheist type. I don't really believe, but I do believe in a religious model, and even if you don't really believe it, acting in accordance to there being a divine model and a God above man. I think that if you believe all morality comes from man, that's a very dangerous, slippery slope. And slippery slopes are why we are where we are now. And C.S. Lewis's little collection of radio essays, Mere Christianity, is a very short, very easy read that anybody listening can easily knock out in an afternoon of reading. And it helped me understand the why that so many Christians talk about how we need to have Christendom again if we want to have good things and a good future for our progeny. And so I, of course, would like to talk about that from the angle of someone who can't feel faith and has never truly believed that God is real, about why I operate as if it is real now. And oops, I said Israel. That's a joke. That was a joke. Anyway, I would like to talk about that because there are several people on our side of things, meaning different kinds of dissidents, who think that Christianity is weak and paused and gay because it comes from Hebrews 2,000 years ago and it's not part of our biospirit and all this. I don't think that's true at all. I think Christianity we have now and the Christendom that we had hundreds of years ago is absolutely a product of the white man. We took something weird and Hebrew and ancient, and basically because of empirical stuff and Catholicism, it changed over time to be our religious expression of our biospirit. And I think that C.S. Lewis's Case for Christianity says some really good stuff about the why of Christendom being productive and valuable and healthy. And I would like us to spend an episode covering C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. So that's the other major thing I would like to cover next year, Jason, to answer your question.
That sounds pretty good, actually. I got a lot of time for Lewis, but I've never read Mere Christianity. So that
Lewis is a good writer. I like reading his stuff. I've read several things he's written. So it should be a good episode as well, because I think that as much as the agnostic atheist part of me wishes that there could be a based, healthy culture and society and civilization that is based in things that I can look at and touch and see and feel and discover through experimentation, we have seen where godlessness gets us. We've seen it. It doesn't take us anywhere good. So yeah. I don't think that that's something that I should aspire to want anymore. I want things to be good for my people. I want the progeny of white people to have a beautiful, burgeoning, strong future. And I don't see atheism and agnosticism getting us there. So
sounding a bit woke right there.
Yes. Yeah, sounded a bit woke right there, huh, Lizzie?
Sounding very, very woke, right? Wanting an older version of Christianity, wanting society to be better. You're woke. You're woke. I can't believe this. You just woke.
Now, I do agree with this statement too, Vic. I agree with that, but I'm just saying it was greater after. Anyway.
Wait, no, what? Gil's got a really good question.
We'll get to that. I see it. I don't just want to talk to him because we don't have a lot of time. Okay. Lomax says, I simply believe that the rich tapestry of Western kind and the many tradition it foments from is valuable. Yes, of course. And like you guys know, like non-paused, like let's have sex with everybody in the neighborhood type of pagans, like the Asatru people or the Odinic people or various Nordic faiths and things. That's awesome. My friend Poman, the Swedish guy I know, he traveled to Lithuania and did a deep dive on how ancient Lithuanian traditions are still kept alive by some people there. Very beautiful pair of videos. Very nice. Like, I want white people to have a good future. It doesn't just have to be Christianity, but that's the main thing that we have. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like, just don't. But of course, like, I encourage all of our people, our folk, to have genuine positive religious expressions, even if they're non-Christian. I don't hate. I don't want Christians and pagans fighting each other. We got bigger fish to fry right now. Anyway, let's see.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, I feel like I could make peace with most people as long as they have a strong belief in the divine or some kind of morality. I might have sort of issues about the specifics of that morality, but I can't get behind the people who are like, oh yeah, you just make your own morality up as you go along, because that it leads to terrible outcomes.
Yeah.
And
Jason
people are already
too.
bad enough at doing that as it is, right? Like,
Ardent, I saw it, honey. I'll get to it. Give me just a minute. I'm trying to knock through some of these real quick. Young at Heart says Owen Barfield's Saving the Appearances is well worth reading if looking into Lewis's theology. Yes, it is. I read that about 20 years ago, but I don't remember much about it. Thank you for reminding me. I might even cover that on Empire of Lies. Thank you. All right, let's move now to Mr. Ardent Party's question, which was, here we go. All right, I have to scroll up to grab it. Ardent Party asks, would you ever be likely to do a show on the damage done by the end of European imperial age? Perhaps, but that's not really part of the Empire of Lies. Like, this is why I want to keep things to like modern living memory history, because we can go back and talk about things in history ad nauseum. And I feel like that's not really in the vein of what I want to cover with this stream series. I want to talk about the building blocks of what we have right now that has basically come to us in the anti-white narrative enforcement post-Nuremberg trials, which is 1945. So basically, World War I, World War II is about as early as I want to go with covering anything. But
also, I'm not a massive history buff, particularly before the Second World War, and I wouldn't want to mess something like that up, and then you wind up meeting Apostolic Majesty and have him being like, oh yeah, that video you did was like complete crap. I'd be like, well, but because my background is in politics, not sort of history.
Absolutely, Big O's. That's why we have a lot of work to do. We got to clear them out as well. Clear them out.
Clear them out.
Clear them all out.
Clear them out as well.
Yep. There needs to be a new start, a glorious white start for the Western sunrise. All right. Let's see. If there's any more questions here. All right. Ardent says that the way I see it is the Imperial Age didn't really end until about the same time as the Second World War did. No, I get that. I get what you're saying, but like, I could easily talk about how those things sort of led into where we got, but I mean, it's not really anything that I can pontificate on. I would just be regurgitating someone else's insight, because I don't have any insight to that stuff, because I'm not a history buff about that.
Didn't we cover the post-World War II consensus in one of the
episodes?
We did. The one about like why everything leads to Hitler. I'm pretty sure
that's where we covered the war origin stuff. So that's as close as we've gotten to what Ardent Party is talking about there. As close as we've came to talking about, not gotten. I'm trying to get rid of those stupid newspeak. I hate it. Like gonna and gotta. I'm trying to remove those from my lexicon. I hate them. I don't.
So Bleach Demon is asking about Ernst Junger.
Yes.
I haven't read him. I've heard of him.
I know who he is, but no, I haven't read anything about him.
No.
Anything by him. Sorry.
Yeah. I'll stick that on my list of stuff
again.
To have a look into.
Yeah. Put this down. Also put down C.S. Lewis's other thing that Young at Heart mentioned, or I think it was. Let's see. Oh no, Owen Barfield. That's right, Owen Barfield. Owen Barfield, Saving the Appearances. Owen Barfield, Saving the Appearances. I looked at that when I was looking into C.S. Lewis and reading a bunch of his stuff a long time ago, but I don't remember anything about it because, as you guys know, I have a bird brain and I forget everything. So,
Yep. Well, thanks for the suggestions, guys. I do appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We got any
Lomax
more?
says there has to be a progression. The culture did not weather the storm. We have to find a way to defeat woke anti-white Zionist ideology without appealing to superstitions atheists will never adopt. Yeah, I know. That's the whole question of culture and society, man. Like that's why we get Mustache Man. That's why we get things like strong men, because sometimes things get so screwed up there's no way to fix it, but we have to keep trying. Like we have to do what we can from the ground up, from the top down. Like I don't care if you're worth $1 billion and you control stuff, or if you're just a poor hillbilly like me. We need to think and speak as one. We need to act as if we care about our family, our community, our region, our ethnicity, our race as one, because we are one body and we are being attacked and erased as one body. And so I do think that we will eventually, our appellations will reach the correct ears if we keep singing the right song and carrying the curative contagion to as many ears that can hear it. So
Also, Lomax, you can make a very, very cogent argument that regardless of what you think of, what you consider the superstition behind Christianity, you cannot deny that the rules that it engendered made very stable and lasting society. So, you can always make this argument to the Christians and say, okay, well, look, you don't believe in the Christian God. Okay, fair enough, right? But the rules that were passed down from it resulted in the kind of society that everyone wants to live in. I'm also not about converting people, at the point of a sword. It's fundamentally antithetical, really, to Christianity to force people to convert. To be perfectly frank, you're supposed to have faith. You don't get faith in anything by forcing someone at the point of a sword. So, but I think you can make that argument very, very easily to an atheist, honestly.
Well, we are at the end of the hour mark, so let's check and see if we have any paid chats that we need to celebrate before we get out of here again. I'm going to refresh Cash App. I'm going to check over on Entropy. We have 2 more on Entropy. Very good. I am going to refresh PayPal now, and I am refreshing Subscribestar. We'll make sure we don't leave anybody out in the cold. Speaking of the cold, I hope you all have a wonderful white Christmas, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Now, Arakeen Green Moon for $3 on Entropy says, if one wants to take a look at a world without God, Fallout is actually a good view of it. I agree. Being the raider makes sense, but a complex thing in society needs common values, and religion is the key to that. I agree. Yes, well said. Yeah, because when you look at whether it's godless communism via Jewish Marxist, or it's godless capitalism, marketing, and soulless individualism that is presented to us in Fallout, both of those are the doom of the white race. And I don't think either one is good. I agree. Stumbling, longtime friend, financial supporter, and moderator of my chat, Stumbling for $5 on Entropy says, Merry Christmas. What are both of your Christmas wishes for white well-being in 2025? Will you be making New Year's resolutions? Yes, and I'll let Chris go first.
I just want to do more content and really sort of get even more serious in 2025 than I was in 2024. I made a lot of progress this year. So yeah, I just want to sort of keep doing more content, do better content. Basically, I've been very, very happy with the response. So yeah, it's been awesome.
My New Year's resolution is to expose people to the brilliant, bizarre comedy catalog of Brad Neely, which I started last Monday night, just a few nights ago, by displaying Prisoner Christmas, his bizarre comedy animated song. Brad Neely is a comedic genius, or was at least, and I want to share the bulk of his catalog with my viewers. So expect a lot more Brad Neely on Discordant Dragons Treasure Trove this coming year. And I believe that is it for the paid chats. If any come in after this, oh, hi, Mandatory Carrie. I don't see you very often when we're live, my friend. Mandatory Carrie is a guy I've known for a long time, Christian and gun lover, such as myself. And he says, keep fighting for $2. Well, thank you very much, Mandatory Carrie. God bless you and your family, and Merry Christmas to you as well. And before we get out of here, there's a private chat message. Oh, yeah, gotcha. I want to make sure that we did. Okay, I got that.
Can I just chill for Millennial?
Yeah, do that. No, well, she'll last. Let me get to this one last thing that because it is going to be what I shill on the way out, and mine will be short, so I'm going to do this first. Jason asked this. Are there any other shows for me or you the rest of December? This is what I wanted to get to with that. For me, it's very simple. My last stream of the year will be December 23rd. That is the Monday night before Christmas Eve, December 23rd. It is in my normal Discordant Dragons time slot, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., but it is a holiday celebration stream. Anyone who has ever been on Discordant Dragons, who I can find the contact info for, will get a message from me and ask if they want to come on, or if he or she wants to come on for just a few minutes or to stay as long as they want. He or she wants to celebrate, to talk about Discordant Dragons, to celebrate Christmas and positive cheer. And also it's a community stream, so anyone in my audience that wants to come on, say hello, celebrate with us, is welcome to come on. And I will be sending out the StreamYard link during that stream. But I ask, of course, like always, make sure you have a mic that works and stable internet and you don't talk over people. So, Chris, I know you are a featured guest on Millennial Woes Millennial this year.
Yes, I am. I'm very honored to be invited. I'll be on Millennial on the 18th, I think at 10 p.m. or something like that. You can check millennial.com. That should be amazing. I feel like it's a bit of a career goal to be on Millennial, so that's awesome. I will also, I think, keep doing Happening TV up until the 23rd, and then I'm going to take a week off over Christmas and New Year. It's I need a break, and Christmas is going to be good. I'll probably do like a look back at 2024. Close to the 23rd. Just go through my my links file and just find the weirdest stuff that happened in 2024. I'm hoping the news just sort of quietens down for a bit, all the news goblins sort of go home, and then I can have a bit of space to just be like, wow, 2024 was like a weird year. Let's look at all the stuff that happened. So, you can join me on that. You can find all of my links on newsfist.net, by the way, in case you didn't know.
All right. Well, guys, I heart you all, and I hope you have a very blessed Merry Christmas, Happy Yuletide, wonderful New Year's, etc., etc. And you will see Chris and I back with more Empire Flies early January next year. So good night and God bless everyone.
Good night, everyone. Take care.